So after what felt like an actual eternity of waiting, we finally have the trailer for The Power of the Doctor, and it's great. It's a great trailer, and there's quite a lot in it, so we're just going to go ahead and start breaking it down. So in the first shot we have the TARDIS flying in what appears to be a sort of hyperspace-esque vortex. It's not the normal time vortex obviously, and it's flying towards this bullet train in space, and the bullet train itself surrounded by this glowing spiral, which I'm guessing probably acts as like a tunnel for it to go across. There's not really much to talk about here. And then we get two shots we've seen before. We get the one of the Doctor standing in front of what I'm guessing was probably the missing paintings they talk about later on in the trailer. Then we get a shot of the Rasputin Master talking, and we know from the official synopsis he is supposed to be Rasputin, so that's going to be interesting to see, and he's got Cybermen standing behind him. I'm not sure that these two shots actually do connect in the episode. I think the Master is probably in a different location just because it doesn't look like it matches up. I saw someone on Twitter saying that it looked like he was in Graham's living room, and it really does, but I don't think that's the case. Then we just get a shot of the TARDIS blowing in the time vortex, nothing new there, and then we get a shot of a volcano, and we have Kate Stewart saying that a dozen of the world's leading seismologists have gone missing. So maybe the plot revolves around something to do with the Master setting off natural disasters like earthquakes or volcanoes around the world in an attempt to do something to it. I don't know, it's just interesting that we've got these elements because she then later talks about paintings as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how these all connect. Then we get a shot of Kate, the Doctor and Yaz in the new very blue Unit HQ, and I like it, and it's great to see Kate Stewart back again. And then we see Ace for the first time in the trailer. She's in an art gallery looking at one of the missing paintings. There aren't too many hidden background details that could give us an indication as to which missing painting she might be looking at, although in the story Silver Nemesis, where Ace meets the Cybermen, the Doctor and her discover there's a portrait of her in Windsor Castle, so maybe that's been stolen, and that's the painting she's looking at, or not looking at, as the case would be. Now, interestingly, in the official synopsis they released, it says paintings are being defaced as opposed to paintings are disappearing, so I think possibly we might have a Day of the Doctor situation where these paintings disappear and then maybe reappear but with some new occupants in the background ready to break out, and then all these paintings are situated in the world's biggest cities ready for an invasion or something along those lines. The next shot we get is the Doctor and Yaz on this weird quarry planet with all the glowy blue Cyberman looking buildings in the background. Now from a later shot you can see Earth from it, which kind of implies this might be the moon, although this doesn't look very much like the moon to me. A theory I saw on Twitter, and I think this is a very good theory, is this could potentially be a cyber converted Gallifrey. After the events of the Timeless Children, the Cybermasters convert it to look more Cyberman-like, and I think that's a very good theory. And the fact that maybe it's moved to be near Earth, sort of like how it happened in the End of Time, would mean that the sky wouldn't be orange anymore, as they wouldn't have the same atmosphere, so that would all make sense. Then we have this fantastic looking shot of this building getting blown up, and I'm 99% sure this is the new Unit HQ, as it has the new Unit logo on the front. And I'm assuming that later on when we see that shot of Ace parachuting down somewhere, she was probably in the building at the time and then parachutes off it to get out before it explodes. We then get a generic TARDIS lever pulling shot, but it looks cool, and then we have a shot of Dan landing on top of the bullet train with the Doctor, Yaz and Dan in the orange spacesuits. Finally, it's been far too long since we'd last seen the orange spacesuits. They are an iconic bit of Doctor Who, so it's great to see Jodie Whittaker finally in it, even if it isn't her final episode. Don't know why he's like landing on it like he's jumped, because later in the trailer they clearly throw a ladder down to get to it, but you know, it looks cool. Then we get a shot of the TARDIS on the Mushroom Kingdom from the Super Mario movie, and if you look at the top you can see there are like missiles coming down towards it and some missiles firing across, so I'm guessing it's probably caught up in the interplanetary war we see later on. There also appears to be someone or something moving inside the TARDIS, which you can see through the left window at the front, but it's not clear enough to tell who that is. Then we have the Master saying, "Can I let you in on a little secret?" and a shot of him in the TARDIS. And why is he in the TARDIS? Well, my theory is that maybe at the beginning he quote-unquote kills the Doctor, and then they take him prisoner to try and work out how to stop her from dying. or something along those lines. You can also see behind him he's on the steps, and behind him where there would usually just be the wall, there's a blue light coming from it, so it looks like there might be an actual corridor there leading to other bits of the TARDIS, which we haven't seen before in this era, which would also line up with the rumours that we're going to see like the TARDIS wardrobe in this story. So I think that's very cool and exciting, and it's slightly annoying that we're only getting to see this in her final story, but I do appreciate that we are actually getting to see it at all. And then there's that shot that we've seen before of Yaz holding a gun, and she's presumably holding it and pointing it at him, and the Master is presumably talking to Yaz. However, his eyeline does seem to sort of match up with a shot of the Doctor in the TARDIS that we got from the initial teaser, so maybe he's talking to the Doctor, and this is a little bit of a misdirect, although it's more likely that he's talking to Yaz and Yaz is pointing a gun at him to stop him from doing anything. Then we get a Dalek saying that a Dalek incursion of Earth is imminent, followed by a shot of a hologram Dalek in the TARDIS talking to the Doctor. This shot looks great. I think the hologram looks really nice. It's interesting to note that this Dalek looks very damaged. It's got a hemisphere missing. It's all scratched and broken. So I'm assuming this is probably like maybe a defector or something along those lines who's been attacked by the Daleks but survived somehow. Or possibly, and this is a bit out there, but it could happen, this might even be Rusty, who we last saw in Twice Upon a Time, and maybe over the years he's managed to rebuild himself a bit more with more Dalek parts, but there's still some bits missing, which is why he's got a missing hemisphere and looks overall a bit damaged. But that's a very big long shot. And this, again, plungers. Finally, we have Daleks with plungers again. Hooray! Then there's also a shot of the Doctor from the Daleks' point of view, and this effect looks a bit different to how we've seen it before in previous Chibnall era episodes, but I think it looks quite good here. Then we get this amazing looking shot of the Daleks at what I'm assuming might be the Earth's core or something like that. It's definitely some sort of cave in the Earth somewhere, with a massive drill machine, and they appear to be mining into wherever they are. There's not really much we can get out of this shot apart from the fact it looks great. But the interesting thing is that many people, including me, assume that maybe the Daleks would have a smaller role, maybe sort of a cameo, but the fact they're featured so prominently in this trailer suggests that actually they are a big part of the story, just as big as the Master and the Cybermen, which I find really interesting. Then there's the shot of the trio in the TARDIS with the orange spacesuits on, and they chuck a rope ladder out, which is why I think they probably chucked it to the bullet train outside. Unless, of course, there's another planet they need to get to, which we don't know about yet. Then we see Vinder on the Quarry planet, and he appears to have some sort of phone with a device attached to it. Behind him there's the TARDIS, except the TARDIS has red lighting from it. Now this could mean a few different things. Maybe the TARDIS is in danger, there's some sort of fault in it, maybe it's blowing up on the inside or something. Or maybe this is the Master's TARDIS, which he has disguised as the Doctor's, and the red light is an indicator of that, because later on we see the ha TARDIS, which we'll talk about in a minute. Then there's a quick shot of the Doctor and Yaz talking, nothing much there, and then we get to the ha TARDIS. And the interesting thing here is if you look to the right, you can see where the handle and the lock would be, which are usually metal. They seem to be made the same wood texture as the rest of it, so this doesn't seem to be the proper TARDIS. It looks a bit damaged, the windows don't look as good as the normal one, which is why I think this is probably the Master's TARDIS, and maybe Vinder is tricked into going inside of it, and then we get a shot of the front door saying ha to show us that this is indeed the Master's TARDIS. At least that's my prediction. Then there's a shot of this glowing energy ball web thing on the Quarry planet. It looks great. The effects in this trailer are just phenomenal. And then you can see in the top right there's the Earth, which is what has led some people to think that maybe this is the moon, but if you look at the structures in the background, I don't think this is the moon. I think this is just a planet that's been brought into Earth's orbit. Then we get a shot of the Doctor, Yaz, and the Master, and the Master is talking to her saying, "You are going to be erased forever." There's not much to talk about here, but can we take a moment to appreciate Sacha Dhawan? He is phenomenal. Moving on. So in this shot we have two planets, and I initially thought they were being like connected and joined together, but they're not. They're firing missiles at each other, and that's a really cool visual. It looks like Earth and maybe sort of a parallel Earth, Mondas, maybe that's a long shot, but it is a great shot showing off the great CGI in this trailer. It's very interesting to see that this plot will revolve around sort of two planets maybe colliding or being at war with each other, and they appear to be on the mushroom planet looking at whatever's happening. We then get a quick shot of a Death Star looking thing firing a beam at Earth. It's giving me Dalek Crucible vibes, so maybe that's what it is. Then just a quick shot of Ashad and the Cybermen firing lasers in Unit HQ, and another shot of some more lasers with being fired into the TARDIS this time, and bits of the TARDIS are exploding, which looks really cool. So this is it, the infamous 2 TARDIS shot. There is a laser coming out of a portal. This looks like the same laser that the Dalek Crucible-esque thing was firing earlier, but the most interesting thing is if you look to the right, you can see the TARDIS. If you look to the bottom left, you can also see the TARDIS. Now, initially, my first thought was that one of them's the Fugitive Doctor's TARDIS. However, you can clearly see these are both 13th Doctor-style TARDISes. The one in the bottom left looks to have a sort of red tint to it, which makes me think it's the same one that Vinda was standing in front of, so I think this is probably the Doctor's TARDIS and the Master's TARDIS, which he has disguised as the Doctor's TARDIS. So that's my opinion on the 2 TARDIS gate that's currently happening. Then we get another shot of Sash Dhawan, and he's just great, isn't he? And then there's a shot of the Doctor holding someone who I'm guessing is either Yaz or Dan, because they're wearing an orange spacesuit, on top of the bullet train, and there are Cybermen flying past them, so I'm guessing they probably encounter, I'm guessing, Cyber Masters on this train, and then they have a sort of mini battle with them. And then we get a shot of Ace parachuting through the sky, although where else would she be parachuting anyway? If you look to the left, you can see the new unit building, which confirms that she parachuted off of it. It's not currently exploding in this shot, so that's interesting, but maybe it's about to explode. Then we get our one and only shot of Tegan in the entire trailer. She's with Ace in Unit HQ, and it's that same shot of them firing guns, except we see who they're firing at, and it is indeed the Cybermen, and there are just 6 of them standing there, and Ashad standing behind them looking all menacing. And then we get a shot of a spaceship, which I'm assuming might be Vinda's, flying out of a portal towards what I'm assuming is the Dalek Crucible. They both have it looks to have a similar reality bomb looking thing on the front of it, although the colour scheme would suggest more Cybermen, but I have a feeling this is the Daleks. And then from that point onwards, we have some more shots of the train, just some more generic shots of lasers being fired at the Doctor and Yaz and them running away. Yaz says she doesn't want it to end, which is interesting because it implies she knows there's something happening, something's coming to an end. It kind of lends to the theory that something happens to the Doctor at the beginning, which they try and undo throughout the course of the episode. We then have an interesting shot of someone climbing up a ventilation shaft. Now, at first I was not sure who this was, but on closer inspection it appears to be the Rasputin Master. Looking at the clothes, and you can sort of see the hair. So I think that's very interesting. I'm guessing maybe this is Ashad-controlled Cybermen trying to get him. There's then an interesting shot of like a tractor beam thing coming around the Earth, so maybe someone's trying to grab the Earth. Before we get one final shot of a group of Daleks, and I think they look so good in this episode. Like, they haven't looked this good for ages, and it is, once again, great to see the proper guns and the plungers back. And the trailer ends like the teaser did, with that shot of the Doctor regenerating and saying Yaz. Well, she sort of screams Yaz, to be fair. But that's it, that's the whole trailer, and I thought it was great. There isn't a whole lot we can get from it, but it's just a great trailer. It doesn't give away too much, but it really intrigues you. But I want to know what you thought. Leave your thoughts down in the comments section below, and as ever, remember to like and subscribe. I've been Cyberman Alf, but from me for now, it's goodbye.